Key issues. This is to identify the significant learning and teaching issues facing the teacher and learners and the relevant theories that underpin these key issues. Lack of confidence and interest in teaching maths. Jake's own unease with mathematics is impacting his teaching, resulting in disengagement and a lack of enthusiasm among students for the subject. However, his effort to deconstruct tasks to assist students struggling aligns with differentiated instruction, which recognizes that students possess varied learning speeds and abilities, and adjusts teaching methods to accommodate these individual differences. This approach acknowledges the need to cater to diverse learning needs within the classroom. Teacher-directed rote and drill-based math instruction. Jake's maths class currently follow a more traditional teaching approach, with the teacher taking the central role. This approach could potentially hinder student motivation and learning. The issues in teaching maths are linked to the absence of student-centered methods. Student-centered learning emphasizes students' active involvement, critical thinking, and problem-solving. In contrast, Jake's current math instructions relies on teacher-directed, repetitive, and drill-based techniques, which may not empower students to actively participate in their math learning. Uneven distribution of teachers' time. Now, Jake is aware of this and has expressed a genuine concern about his ability to give all his students equal attention, potentially impacting their individualized support and overall engagement in class. This concern aligns with the principles of engagement theory, which emphasizes the importance of actively involving students in their learning journey. In Jake's math lessons, where roughly half the class finishes quickly and become disruptive, this issue can be attributed to the lack of engaging activities or extensions. To mitigate this problem, it's crucial to introduce activities that challenge and motivate all students, thereby maintaining their engagement throughout the lesson. And finally, limited student participation and confidence in maths. Now, in Jake's math class, there's a noticeable lack of confidence among several students when it comes to answering questions, and they often show limited interest in the subject. This has led to reduced student participation, which can hinder their overall learning and engagement in maths. This issue aligns with socio-constructive theories, emphasizing the importance of social interaction and collaborative learning. In a maths classroom, it's vital for students to feel confident enough to actively participate, ask questions, and collaborate with their peers in problem-solving activities. Currently, Jake's teaching approach may not be effectively promoting the type of interaction, potentially affecting students' beliefs in their own abilities and their motivation to learn maths.
As a teacher, Jake shows various positive aspects which benefit both his growth as a teacher, but also the growth of his students' knowledge and understanding. At the commencement of the schooling year, Jake presented his expectations of the students as an individual and as a class, which assisted in a routine being utilized throughout the whole year. Jake's belief of constructivism and inquiry-based learning within the classroom has been successfully implemented in disciplines such as English and science, however struggles to find a way to use these strategies in disciplines such as mathematics. In his class, he has a mix between Year 3 and Year 4 students with a wide range of abilities. Jake is a very supportive teacher as he shows assistance to the struggling students. When collaborative work is used within the classroom, Jake provides a satisfactory platform for his students through both verbal and written instructions accounting for different styles of learners. At the completion of activities, Jake brings the class back together to allow a time of self-reflection and group reflection, creating inclusivity amongst peers. All aspects of a teacher and or teaching method will have an implication that impacts the students, whether it be positively or negatively. A major implication that would impact a student greatly would be if a teacher has the ability to teach accurately, effectively, and efficiently. Fortunately for Jake's class, he can, which allows students to learn and develop to their fullest. The use of collaborative work amongst students and peers may positively influence students to feel more inclined to complete the work as they are achieving a final project together. Smilucha states that beginning from a young age, students' development has been most successful when the use of collaborative movements and actions involve other people and imagination. Additionally, collaborative and group work within a classroom can allow students to complete the project at hand at their own pace to a degree. Within a classroom, there will always be a time period. However, it can allow the ability to work on it at both school and at home. Although Jake had success in collaborative work, he also found triumph through the use of constructivism. Papuhin and Saragi states that the impact of one's personality, behavior, actions, and reactions are all components of someone which can be determined and altered due to their surrounding environment. The maturity of a student requires to be monitored and progressively reflected to enhance the capability of success. As there are endless strategies and beliefs in the world regarding teaching methods, it is dependent on what the teacher finds successful and how their students react to what is provided to them. Although both Jean Piaget and Lev Vygotsky have targeted the cognitive development of children and students within a school, there are components which differ from one another, influencing people's views to choose one or the other. Piaget concentrated on the socialness in learning, whereas Vygotsky concentrated on the individual in learning. The struggling students within the class receive additional help in assisting the completion of their work. This positively influences these specific students as they are provided with a platform that they can extend their knowledge and understanding at a slower pace in comparison to the class. Mental health conditions are a prevalent issue within schools, with depression and anxiety being some of the most well-known conditions. Anxious students tend to struggle when change is a constant factor in their everyday life. Having a routine set by Jake allows these students a sense of ease where they know what some of the components of each day will contain.
As introduced, the case follows Jake. This case showcases the negative and positive ways in methods of teaching. Although there are positives, there are some critical criticisms to discuss to improve his classroom environment. These criticisms include his lack of confidence in teaching maths, student time distribution, and the lack of student-centered activities. Albert Bandura introduced the theory of self-efficacy. This concept is described as individuals believing in the value of motivation to influence an outcome. Having confidence in learning or teaching leads to success. A vital key in self-efficacy is mastery experiences. While successful experiences increase self-efficacy belief, failures lower them. This is showcased through Jake expressing that due to his failure of maths in high school, he is less confident in teaching the subject. Another key aspect of Bandura's theory in self-efficacy is vicarious experiences gained through information from the influence of other peers or individuals around them. This creates the idea that students are model learners obtaining self-efficacy from their teacher and attitude towards a subject. The lack of self-efficacy presented by Jake and the repercussions is presented in the case study when Jake's students showcase the lack of enthusiasm with maths due to the teacher's show of lack of self-efficacy. Due to his lack of self-efficacy, Jake's students become just as less confident as Jake is creating difficulty in class management. The student-centered learning approach was built through the understanding and learnings of a few theorists, including Jean Piaget, Lev Vygotsky, and John Dewey. Jake has shown a lack of student-centered learning in his classroom. His students have shown disinterest and disengagement towards maths. The information that has been taught is developed through worksheets and answering questions. Dewey proposes the theory that children learn through experience, allowing students to have free will in their way of learning promotes healthy learning development. From this knowledge, teachers can work collaboratively with the students to work on individual learning needs and development by understanding a student's own experience and creating tasks based on this information. Creating an environment where students can choose how they learn and have a choice in their attainment of knowledge promotes healthy individual development. Without student-centered teaching, it is impossible for teachers to gain knowledge of students' individual progress. This is shown as Jake's students are divided in understanding content as well as disengagement in the classroom. As stated in the case, Jack tends to spend more time with the students that are struggling with content. taking away time for other students. Although the attentive care for these students can be seen as a positive teaching method, focusing on particular students promotes exclusion in the classroom. Vygotsky proposed a theory of zone proximal development, where the divide of developing students is created when students' progress are individualized instead of creating potential development through problem solving in collaboration with capable peers. Vygotsky theorized that learning is a shared or joint experience in a responsive social context. He believed that the primary issue for individuals that have disabilities is a negative differentiation in social contexts such as the classroom. Jake is therefore creating a divide between students when choosing to focus on students that are academically struggling instead of having these students work collaboratively with other students.
Moving on to recommendations for Jake's approach to teaching. To quickly summarize an issue previously presented, Jake's teaching approach to mathematics is stated to be entirely and exclusively teacher-centered. A journal article by Sunzuma and Lunetta highlight that this teaching approach limits the ability of students to develop their understandings within mathematics, as this approach is not effective in promoting problem-solving skills within learners. Jake already strongly believes in student-centered approaches, so the recommendations I'll provide are centered around how to implement such an approach. The initial recommendation for Jake would be to incorporate student-centered tasks into his teaching of mathematics, as he has done so with his other subjects, with teaching strategies such as whole class discussions, fieldwork, and collaborative work between peers with either pairs or groups, which can be seen in research to help in student participation and confidence. Likewise, Jake's students often state that math is the most boring subject ever, and students who finish early are often disruptive, and a recommendation to combat both these issues is provided by Hilton, who highlights how the implementation of classroom technologies promotes student engagement, mood, and enjoyment in relation to learning mathematics. Specifically, Jake can instead provide those who finish early the chance to utilize a mobile tablet and engage in online maths activities as a way of rewarding and providing further math learning and engagement to those who finish quicker instead of them doing unrelated reading. Subsequently, Jake can also plan lessons around technologies and provide iPads or laptops to students to participate in online maths activities or games where students can interact peer-to-peer with one another, promoting both student-centered learning and increased student engagement. Furthermore, Jack prescribes math tasks that are rote and memorization based, which has been described in research to negatively affect student attitudes, perceptions, and outcomes towards mathematics, which is evident in the classroom disruptiveness. A recommendation for Jake to move beyond memorization-based math tasks is to provide tasks that have high intellectual demand, such as problem-solving tasks involving real-world situations relevant to a student's environment. Specifically, Jake could implement this approach within his teaching of measurement to his Year 3/4 composite class through having students participate in tasks that require measuring and calculating the perimeter of objects within the classrooms or their homes, such as windows, walls, floors, and so on, creating the ability for his students to be able to connect their learning to real-world contexts, where such a connection fosters improved learner enjoyability and engagement towards mathematics. Moreover, Jake lacked confidence in his ability to teach mathematics, and as shown in research and described within the case study, has negatively replicated on towards his students. A recommendation to increase Jake's confidence in math is provided by Wilson and Goff, who highlight that teachers spending time learning and engaging in a variety of examples regarding numeracy and how it relates and is rooted within the curriculums that they follow can greatly boost the confidence of pre-service teachers and current teachers looking to improve their own pedagogy. Additionally, a lack of confidence within teaching mathematics can manifest in many ways. A significant aspect stated by Norton could be in the lack of variation within pedagogy, and in Jake's case, a heavy reliance upon teacher-centered approaches. Finally, through implementing the previously mentioned recommendations for creating student-centered tasks within his classroom, Jake can subsequently increase his own confidence with math by not exclusively relying on rote memorization-based tasks and having more variation within his teaching strategies to help boost student outcomes and participation.